Okay, welcome everybody. Today we have a very special training. Right now, Amazon is going through a lot of policy changes, and this is affecting your business, whether you know it or not, especially with your profitability as we're going into the third quarter and fourth quarter at the end of the year. That's why I wanted to invite Rob Stanley from GETIDA. He's an expert when it comes to all of these things, reimbursements. So welcome, Rob. How's it going?
Hey, Gary, good to see you. Yeah, there's a lot going on with Amazon right now, especially just a little over a week ago. We had a big announcement that is really going to affect sellers, and it's going to affect them, unfortunately, in a negative way on getting their money back when they have issues in the warehouse. And I put together a nice big presentation for us to kind of go over step by step what's going on, how it'll affect you, whether you signed up with GETIDA or even not signed up with GETIDA. There's a lot there, and there's a lot of money that could be lost if you don't take action before the deadline in the end of October. And that's why I wanted to kind of grab you, Gary, and really get on a webinar with you and talk about this, because if you don't take this action before the October, I think it's 23rd, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
deadline, then you can lose out on a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel like this is, you know, at this time, a lot of sellers are concerned about profitability, the rising Amazon fees, and the new fees. So this is still an opportunity. It's kind of like a profit lever that you can still pull right now, but literally, like the clock is ticking, like until October, right? So that's why I
Absolutely.
think it's very important. And Rob's gonna go through a lot of the nitty gritty. So even if you want to do this yourself, you can try to do it yourself as well, but
Yep.
it is, quite like, Amazon like is not very good like in their emails as, trying to give you like a very clear expectation and clear explanation, right? That's why I'm inviting Rob to kind of give you like a plain language, like layman's um explanation for Amazon sellers. All right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
quick intro for those of you guys that are meeting Rob for the first time. So Rob Stanley, he's the former founder of two successful seven-figure online e-commerce brands. He has over 20 years experience in e-commerce and marketing. He's podcast host. He goes to all the conferences. He's known as his alter ego, the money man. So if you see the guy with like the $1 million like suit with all
Right.
the $100 bills and the hat, and the shades, that's Rob.
That guy.
All right, please holler at him, give him a shout out because that's all he does. He's always talking about saving money for sellers, profitability,
Yeah.
and he's currently the chief evangelist officer at GETIDA. Like he lives and he breathes this stuff. So he's gonna drop a ton of value for you guys to help you really maximize your profits going to Q4. All right. Rob, before we get started, like who is this for? Like what type of seller? Is it for everybody or is it only for like the big sellers? Like what's your take on that?
Yeah, so let's narrow it down to every FBA seller is going to be affected. So right now, if you're a current FBA seller, you will be affected. I've got charts and stuff we'll show you here shortly. But basically, what's happening is Amazon made an announcement that they're going to start to automate the refund process. Which is a good thing for Amazon sellers, right? When you have issues in the warehouse. So, we'll get into specifics on what those issues are, how you'll be affected by those. But basically, anybody FBA seller that has their items in the warehouse, which should be all of them, is going to be affected by this. It will really affect actually the worst people who have not looked at doing refunds themselves or getting a company like GETIDA or other FBA refund companies to go back and look for those refunds that they may have missed in the last,
Mm,
X amount of months.
right.
Currently, it's at 18 months, and we'll get into those numbers a little more. The reason why I'm kind of giving you a high level right now is because I have some really in-depth charts I want to share and
Yeah.
kind of go over it in more detail. But that is the general of it. Is every FBA seller out there is going to be affected
Yeah.
by this change coming up in the end of October.
Excellent. All right. So without further ado, Rob, let's get into the presentation. Would you like to share your screen?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do that. So we should have the presentation here now. All right, Gary, you see it okay?
Looks good.
All right, great. So yeah, just hi everyone. I'm Rob Stanley. I'm Chief Evangelist for GETIDA. We're going to be talking about this update that just happened about a little over a week ago. That's going to cause a lot of different changes happening when it comes to getting FBA refunds, especially when there's issues in the warehouse. So just kind of quickly, talking a little bit about GETIDA and kind of who we are. We are on a mission to help Amazon FBA sellers obviously get back as much money as possible when there's issues in the warehouse or other types of Amazon FBA refund type issues. We are the global leader in the industry. I've been with the company a little over 3 years now. And, we definitely have helped out tens of thousands of people get refunds and money back. We're an authorized member of the Amazon selling partner, and we're featured in the App Store. We were actually one of the first ones to get on the Emerald program, which just transitioned recently into a different type of program. We are award-winning. You see some of the awards that we got here with the Stevie Award. And like I said, we're software and service partners with Amazon. And we have the highest recovery rate in the industry. And, it's a risk-free solution. There's really it doesn't cost anything to sign up with us. So moving on to some more pertinent information. I appreciate a little plug for GETIDA there. So this is the update I'm referring to that happened on July 24th. I'm not going to read this line by line, Gary, but basically, like I was saying, what it does cover, it's going to affect all the FBA sellers and, specifically in the fulfillment centers. And it comes to, they're going to automate some of these refunds. Now, breaking this down, myself, Yoni, our CGO, and everybody, we all kind of sat down and really kind of broke this down. There's a reason why we're pointing to this one specific paragraph where the arrow is at, that specifically the word almost all reimbursement claims related to warehouse loss and damage and customer return cases will now be proactively reimbursed. Okay. That's a good thing, right? That technically means that they're going to give you almost all your money back when there's an issue, and they're going to do it automatically, right? This is the reason we pointed it almost. A couple of things you need to also understand is that you will still need to file a manual claim. Okay. So, really breaking this down, that's why we underline that. And then, additionally, this is going to start on October 23rd, which I mentioned earlier. And, the other underline that we have here is that, you can submit no later than 60 days. So what's happening is, and I have a different chart for this, we'll go into more detail, is they're bringing this claim window down that you have to manually claim within 60 days. Now, you're like, Rob, what's going on? You just said they're going to auto reimburse. Then you said they're manual. So yeah, let's break that down a little more. So they will be auto reimbursing, but you do still have to manually file certain claims. Okay. Because they're not going to automatically give you all your money back for every single thing. You still have to audit them. You still have to make sure that you're getting back, and they will miss some. It's just like, that's why GETIDA here. That's why other refund companies are here. On average, GETIDA is getting back 1 to 3% of your annual FBA sales from these issues of them missing every refund out there. So yes, even though they will be automating some of the claims, it's not going to be 100%, and there'll still be claims that need to be filed. And by the way, Gary, and you probably know this, but for others, there's a lot of other claim types out there. I mean, I'm not going to go into all of them. There's just so many of them. So realistically, if people are saying, and we got this question on a different webinar I was on, well, do I need GETIDA anymore? Yeah, you still need us. This is still just a very small, like maybe 20% of your claims out there of say 100% pie are going to be affected by them automating this. We're still going to get that other, call it 70, percent of these claim types that we can still get for you. So yes, you still need a refund company, but this will affect some of your refunds. So let's move on a little bit to the next.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Rob, if I can just weigh in, I think this is very important that all sellers should pay attention to this announcement directly from Amazon. It was on July 24th, right? I think the key thing, as you said, like the key word is almost, right? It's not they're going to do 100% for you, right? Certain ones they will miss, right? So they're covering their what right now. In case they miss it, that's up to you, the seller, right? You got to file a manual claim, right? So if you think about, you take a step back, like from the business perspective, is Amazon incentivized to do everything they can to give all of your money back? Or are they, more trying to like grow their business and compete against Temu and all that stuff? I don't think getting all of the sellers' money back is Amazon's top priority, to be honest, right? Because, your margin is my opportunity. That's what Jeff Bezos said, right? That's why I think right now we need to be vigilant to make sure you can get everything. Use someone like GETIDA. There's probably, Rob is a better expert than me. In terms of the different types of reimbursements, I counted like at least 2 dozen. There's over 20 different types of reimbursements. So, I mean, you can try to do it yourself, but just make sure like whoever is handling it for you knows what they're doing. I think that's number
Yeah.
one. And number two is like the look back period. As Rob said, previously you had 180 days, right? That's like, 6 months,
18
right?
months. You
But
had 18 months,
yeah,
actually.
yeah, sorry, 180, 18 months, right? But now
Yeah,
it's
18
cut
months.
down to significantly lower. So that's why we got to make sure, especially right now, to take action before October 23rd. Otherwise, you're going to lose out
Absolutely.
on that. So, yeah,
This
okay,
is the
great
other
stuff. Let's
thing
keep going.
I got to note,
Yeah,
Gary, because so some of the FBA sellers I know, after this announcement came out, within a couple days, a couple sellers I'm aware of started getting invited to this beta program to test this automation. Okay. So
okay.
if anybody's out there and going, well, I got invited to this Amazon automation beta test, do I still need GETIDA? Well, right now you need to notify us that you are in that beta program so we can make sure that we're not touching anything related to this
Mm,
automation. So if anybody out there did get
mm,
invited to that and you're watching this, please make sure you reach out
mm,
to, if not us, whatever refund company you're using, and notify them
mm,
so they're not taking any action on these particular claim types. And then also,
yeah.
this is what we found kind of interesting, Gary. If they're going to start giving money back automated, that's going to cost them millions of dollars. So there is a chance, I'm not saying this, haven't read this yet, this is my speculation personally, that they
Mm-hmm.
may make some adjustments to this. So this is an announcement, and we think some of the reason why they said almost, and they're using certain wording in here, is because
Yeah.
by the end of this beta test, let's say by the end of October, they may come out and make an adjustment to what they're going to do on this. Um,
Mm,
that's purely speculation on my part. But
yeah.
based on some things I kind of know and some numbers I know and people I've talked to, at least seller wise, we'll see how this actually pans out. But for now, let's
Right.
assume it's going to happen. Let's assume they're going to do it
Yeah.
the full way. Let's go over what
Yeah.
some of the effects are going to be for these Amazon sellers.
All
So
right.
we just talked about it, Gary. You just brought it up, and I'm glad you did. So these are current. This is as of today or before October 23rd. FBA inbound shipments. If you're in the EU or the UK and you're watching this, you have 6 months to file a claim, or GETIDA does your claim within that time frame. And then in the US, we do that claim within 9 months. Again, and I'll actually talk a little bit more. I have a slide. If you're interested in doing your own claims, I will show you how to do them properly. We'll talk about that, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But loss damage units right now are 18 months. Customer refunds are 18 months. Removal orders are 18 months. And then weight and dimension fees are 3 months. Okay. Why is this important? Because when I show you the next slide, we're going to show you what's going to go into effect, or what's going to take effect after that October 23rd deadline, and why you need to act before that, and definitely take some steps here. So let's jump over there. So this is after. So you could see every single line went down. Okay. Now, inbound shipment actually did not go down. My mistake on saying that. But inbound shipment was the only one not affected by this. But lost and damage units, let's go back real quick. Lost and damage went from 18 months down to 2 months. Now, that is the one they're
Mm,
expecting improvements
wow.
on. Okay. That's the one they're going to automate. That's the one they're kind of targeting right now. Now, FBA
Mm,
customer refunds, let's look again, went from 18 months down to 4 months. So customer refunds went down to 4 months. Removal orders went from 18 to 2.5 months. Weight and dimensions were not affected by this. So kind of that middle section, the loss damage, customer refunds, and removal orders, all are getting affected from that. They basically went from 18 months down to like 2 to 4 months, basically. And that is
mm,
crazy. Now, how does this affect
yeah.
you? If you're an Amazon FBA seller currently, this will affect you in the sense of there'll be less time, whether you do the refund yourself or whether you're having GETIDA, there's less time for us to do the refund for you. So if they don't automate it, or a certain part of it and they miss something, it's going to leave a very small window for us to jump in there and be able to get that refund for you on any of these kind of middle ones that we're talking about right now. And if you're not
Mm,
doing refunds at all, or you don't even know what refunds are, or you've never had somebody look to see if you're due for a refund, this is going to affect you a lot, because when you sign up with us currently being this one, we could go back 18 months and find any issues that they had and get you those refunds back. And after
Yeah.
October, we can only go back 2 to 4 months on these certain ones. And that's going to affect you dramatically. If you say, man, 6 months ago, I had this issue with the warehouse, blah, 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 it's past that point. So we're not going to be able to help you. So let's just go on to one
Yeah.
more, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, Gary, but I want to just
Yeah.
kind of show them, the before and after, a little easier to see here instead of me hopping back and forth on the video. So Gary, does this kind of make sense what you were just talking about earlier? The effect that's going to happen here. This is pretty dramatic,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah. No,
sellers
this
that,
is
have
huge.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this
No,
is,
I
this
mean,
is
I
big.
agree 100%. This is huge, right? I mean, because the clock is ticking, right? Literally, we
Yes.
just have like about a month, a little over a month and a half, right? As of right
Yep.
now. And especially if you have not gotten reimbursements right now, I mean, this is like the 80/20 like takeaway. Do your reimbursements right now because you're going to
Mm-hmm.
maximize your returns, right? If you've already been doing it, then like you can still get some stuff back, right? I was hosting an Amazon seller meetup event last night, and one of the larger sellers that we met, they used GETIDA, and they said that GETIDA was able to get them back over $200,000 in reimbursements,
Yeah.
right? $200,000. Obviously, this seller is big, right?
Yeah.
And they have a small team, but they still outsource this out to get that money back, right? So I think that's the big takeaway, guys. I mean, the clock is ticking. Whether you do this yourself or you get someone like a GETIDA to do it, make sure you do this ASAP before
Yep.
October 23rd to get the full 18 months before it's cut down to like 2, right?
Yeah, yeah, 2 to 4 at best. So yeah,
Yeah,
on my
yeah,
next slide, let's talk a little bit about the current status. So Amazon auto reimburses for the 3 mentioned claim types we just talked about. Sellers need to audit and file cases for these 3 claim types. 18 months are currently available, but like we just said, that's going to be cutting down to 2 to 4 months. And then, you still have to file those claim types. So that's kind of a summary of what, Gary and I just basically talked about. Now, we're going to jump into a little bit more information. I'll try to go over, like Yoni and myself just did a webinar. I'll try to go over some of the questions that were commonly asked, and towards the
yeah,
end here, or as Gary gets any, but just to kind of keep things moving a little bit so we have a little extra time. So coming soon, the new status or what's coming up in October. Amazon expects to improve auto reimbursements only for loss damage claims, only those claims. There's still, like I said, and Gary said it too, there's a ton of other claims out there that we can get, but we don't want you to miss out on that extra money. So, that's why we're bringing this up, and we're bringing it up now so you can take action. Sellers still need to audit and file loss damage claims, but only 2 months are available. Okay, so just, look that over again, because that's very crucial. And then point 2 here, sellers still need to audit and file customer return and removal order claims, but within a much shorter time frame. So these are really crucial things that are going to really affect you getting your money back. Everybody needs that money right now. Things are tight, margins are tight, fees are getting higher, warehouse storage fees are higher. Pay-per-click, you could take this money and put it towards pay-per-click or offset some of those fees. And that's what part of the purpose of GETIDA is. We want to get you that money back, but we also want to see you take that money and reinvest it back into your company with things like pay-per-click or maybe more inventory, offset some of those fees. So, these are things
yeah,
that we hope that you'll take a look at. So yeah, in summary, sellers still have less time to file claims and recover reimbursements, which could be challenging. And we totally understand that. That's definitely why we're here. It's not why I'm on with Gary to kind of talk about that. So in the history, Yoni brought this up. Now, Yoni's been doing refunds longer than me. I was a seller for 20 years up until 2018 before I kind of jumped on the service provider side. And like I said, I've been with GETIDA for 3 years. Yoni's been doing refunds since 2015. GETIDA's been around since 2015. So in the history, in the past, there is a little bit of a trend here. And the trend is that Amazon has done this before. So this trend follows previous reduction in claim filing timeframes. The 2019 cut, I wasn't at GETIDA at that time, but the 2019 cut from 18 months to 3 months for fulfillment fee overcharges, making it harder for sellers to address claims. So this has happened in the past. We have seen this. Did it really affect us? It didn't, but did it affect the seller? Yes, it did. It affected us being able to get refunds for you and the time frame we could get them in. But these are just, all I'm doing is setting up reasons why you need to take action on this. You need to be aware of this. I'd hate to see you not get as much money back. And, you know, these are some of the reasons, but they have done this before. So was it a little bit of a shock for GETIDA? Yeah, slightly, but we also kind of saw it come and we thought that maybe they might do something similar to this. And again, Gary, like we talked about at the beginning, we'll see how they may kind of tweak it slightly when we get to that October deadline based on
Mhm.
some of the beta testing they're doing. So in
Mhm.
conclusion, sellers need to help to navigate tighter deadlines, manage claims effectively. Sellers should act now, like Gary said, and I agree, and clean up those past 18 months. If you've never had an actual refund done, you need to act like right now. That October 23rd deadline is coming up really good, really quickly. And yes, GETIDA can definitely help you with that. Uh, I do want to talk a little bit. If I'm going too fast, Gary, just let me know. But there's some
Mhm.
important slides. I did talk about if you would like to do it yourself, if you want to do refund yourself, there's literally a 3+ hour presentation that myself, Yoni, our CEO, Eitan, and Lisa all got on. And we literally, for over 3 hours, showed you step by step how to do refund yourself. All you need to do is scan that QR code. You can watch a 4 hour, I think it's almost 4 hours, 3.5
Wow.
hour video, literally, that shows you step by step how to do it. We wanted to make sure that people knew that you can do it yourself. There is ways to do it, and here's how you do it. So we literally put together this long video. It's a little bit old, but I tell you what, it's still accurate,
Mhm.
still holds true. It'll show you the step-by-step process for doing it yourself. And
Mhm.
that's something you might want to watch if you are interested in doing these yourself. Um, and of course, if not, then, oh, it looks like I lost my QR code, but that's okay because you want to head on over to getida.com/SFSS. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to get that $400 in free FBA fees. So let's just talk a little bit about what about GETIDA. So we don't charge a month to month. We're not a month to month service. We're not going to charge you a month to month fee. It costs you nothing to sign up with us. This $400, you're not going to sign a contract to get into this $400 offer. This is something that we created, especially with Gary. You get getida.com/7FSS. That will get you right to the page, automatically get you that $400. And you can get started with us immediately. If after that $400 in the first $400 of free FBA claims, if you don't want to stay with us, it's a gift from Gary and I and GETIDA to you to keep. But with all these changes going on, I would definitely recommend sticking around and let us keep taking it over from there, and we can do the refunds for you. And, you know, anytime there's changes like this, we automatically adjust to make sure we're within those windows and that our claims team is doing it for you. Sorry about the QR code missing there, but be
It's all
sure to
right.
go over to get
We'll put the link down in the description. If you guys
perfect.
are watching the replay, you can just scroll on down, click there. You'll get your first $400 in reimbursements back for free.
There you go.
All right. So
Yeah, or go
definitely grab that.
getida.com/7FSS, which stands for Seven Figure Seller Summit. But make sure you abbreviate it. Don't type out the full Seven Figure Seller
Yeah.
Summit. You won't get
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, be sure
Mhm.
to head on over there. And then, of course,
All right.
oh, well, you know, some of my slides didn't quite work today. I tried to get this together quickly for Gary, but that's okay. It's just a picture of me over on the iPhone anyways. But if you'd like to reach out to me, if you have a question or you're watching this video after Gary and I have completed, you're welcome to connect with me. It's really simple. The email is rob@getida.com, or scan the QR code that takes you to my Popple. That actually gives you my cell phone number, gives you my social media accounts, my email, everything. So uh, that'll take you over there. So just thinking of a few things that were asked, Gary, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of
Yeah.
here so we
Okay.
can
And,
talk.
and we have some pre-submitted questions as well from people
Sure,
that
go for it.
RSVP. So
Yeah.
yeah, if we can get to those first. I mean, we pretty much explained the latest Amazon changes already, right? But one of the other questions that resonated with me is how do we get as much as possible from Amazon for our products, Rob? Like, what would you say to that? Is there
Yeah,
like
like
any
how to get the
particular
maximum
ones?
refunds back.
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
maximize your refunds.
So yeah, um, there is a lot of GETIDA services that we do for you. So once you sign up, we're going to currently go back that 18 months right now, as of right now. And we're going to look for all these refunds for you that we could basically turn around and start submitting and start getting you money back. Now, that's great. If you want to maximize being able to get all those refunds, let's talk about something like weights and measurements. Now, that is something
Mhm.
as GETIDA, we could show you what Amazon currently says your weights and measurements of your products are, but I don't have your package. I don't have your product, so I don't know what your actual weight and measurement is. So, for instance, in something like that, you would have to go into our dashboard, pull down your weights and measurements, which is all within our GETIDA dashboard, and you'd put the correct weight and measurement in, submit it to us, and then we'd go back and get your refund for every one of those items that shipped incorrectly. But there has to be a
Yeah,
discrepancy. So sometimes, Gary, like
yeah,
let's say it's a pound and a quarter, and you went down to a
yeah,
pound tenth. It may not
yeah,
have affected that item as far as it may still ship for, let's call it $7 instead of $5.
yeah,
But in the case, let's say it did go down to $5, that $2 difference, every item that shipped out incorrectly, we would get that for you. So there's one scenario
yeah,
of something we would need your help on. Another
yeah.
item that
No, I
we
mean
could use.
that's happened to me before. Like for
Mhm.
with one of my previous products I was selling, I had the package. It was we designed it to make it within that Amazon size tier that's
Mhm.
standard small, right? But one of the inbound shipments, for some reason, Amazon mismeasured it. They measured it that was it was longer than the actual link, right? So
Yeah.
that triggered the next Amazon size tier, which obviously charges you more fees, right? So fortunately, at that time, I spotted that difference because I was looking through my my fees. How come Amazon charging me more now than on our last shipment? And then I recognized that. So I mean, I was able to fortunately spot that. But weights and measurements, that could be a big one, right? Like, are
Yeah.
there any like if we apply the 80-20 rule, Rob, to those like 2 dozen different types of classifications of reimbursements, which ones are the biggest ones that sellers should pay attention to get the maximum back?
Yeah, most of the ones that you want to pay attention to are ones we already do for you. So we don't like to really go over. There's actually way more than 2 dozen, by the way, Gary. We don't want to
Yeah,
really cover too many of them because some of our
yeah,
competitors are actually not doing some of the refund types we are doing. Because
okay,
we've been around since 2015, we do have a deeper knowledge of what we can do. Let's just say this:
okay,
we have the highest success rate right now on our website. We're advertising basically we have a 90% success rate now. That is
okay,
really, really high for the industry. But if you
okay,
want to maximize, let's go back to the question though, because I think this is more important,
yeah,
is making sure
yeah,
you get the most money you can. Like I was talking about the weight
yeah,
and measurements, you got to go
yeah,
into our dashboard and do that. The other thing you need to do, if you're brand registered FBA seller, you want to look at DocMaster. Now, DocMaster and DocMaster Pro, and I'll explain the difference. DocMaster is something that allows you that when Amazon requests a documentation from you, since you are the brand registered brand, you are the brand,
mm-hmm,
you can
mm-hmm,
create a packing slip and submit that. And you can do that all
mm-hmm,
within our dashboard. So you don't have to upload a PDF file. You can do it all within there. That we have videos that step you through how to set it up. And then DocMaster Pro, what that actually does is will allow us, once you set up the first packing slip, it'll allow us to automatically submit that packing slip for you once you've submitted the first one. And that's another thing that you could take advantage of that will get you more money because instead of us having
mm-hmm,
to bug you for some documentation paperwork when you're the brand registered
yeah,
of the brand, we can just do it
yeah,
for you. So, our whole focus, Gary, I always like to say is our focus is let us take this off your plate so you can just focus on making money. And when you get the money back
right,
from us, focus on reinvesting that money back into your business. Um,
right,
there's a lot of different ones. And by the way, if you are interested in some of the refund types that Gary and I talk about, we do actually list some of the refund types that we do. It's a small portion
mm-hmm,
of them on our website at GETIDA.com. You can go in there and you can find the different refund types. I don't want to go over all of them right this moment.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's good to
yeah.
stay focused on
Okay,
this whole change
yeah,
coming up and how important it is.
right, right, right. Okay. Okay. Excellent. And another person submitted a question. At what revenue point does it become worthwhile to use a service like Atito?
Sure. That gets asked. I get asked that every time I go to a trade show. And that's a very common question. So I would say you should be using it immediately because your first FBA shipment going into the warehouse could have issues, right? It could have issues day one that goes in there. And especially even if you're a small seller, we don't have like a bottom or, we don't go, okay, something under a dollar, we're not going to go after. We go after every refund type. We've gotten back literally cents for people and we will go that far. And that's just part of
Yeah.
the whole process that we do. We have a team of over 200 people. We're not a small little tiny run of, little mom and pop shop here. We're a very
Mm-hmm.
substantial team. We have a lot of people filing claims, but I would say to answer that question directly, I would sign up now. I'd be using any refund service. Obviously, I'd love you to see you use GETIDA, especially get the $400. The $400
Mm-hmm.
doesn't expire, by the way. So, once you get that $400, even if it takes you a year to use it up for if you're small and getting started, it's there to use. So I would say
Yeah.
immediately.
Okay. And another person asked, how do I make sure my reimbursement company isn't taking advantage of me, especially with the new policy changes being enacted?
Absolutely. At GETIDA, like we said, we are partners with Amazon. We actually have another video we talked about that there is a thing called a 4-day loophole. I'll bring that up right now. You can go watch a different video on that. So what happened was there was actually people that were taking advantage of an automation that Amazon was supposed to refund you for basically a item that had been returned. Okay, so an item got returned and you were supposed to be refunded, and the Amazon's supposed to refund it in 60 days. Well, what happened was there was a gap that actually was taking Amazon 64 days to do that refund. And some of the refund services, not going to name who, but there was other ones out there that have fixed it since, but we're going in at day 60 and day 61 and basically filing a claim for you. We've never done that. We would never do that. So even these changes like this, if Amazon is going to automate a refund, we are already working with some of the people that are in the beta program right now that got invited to kind of see what's happening right now. Now, what we did is we pulled back all claim types for that particular person in the beta program regarding the ones we just discussed that are going to be automated.
Mm-hmm.
And we're watching to see what Amazon's doing and if they're going to miss
Mm-hmm.
any. And,
Mm-hmm.
so yes, we basically, I understand that question. It comes up a lot. We do not do that. We're not going to risk our whole entire business with Amazon
Yeah.
over a small claim type like that or automating something that you should be automatically getting a refund back for.
Yeah.
That's just not good business.
I see. Okay. One other question that I heard recently from some sellers is, everyone's worried about getting their account suspended by Amazon,
Mhm.
right? Like, would using a service like GETIDA risk a seller somehow getting their account suspended?
Yeah, we've been around a long time. I've never seen anybody of the tens of thousands of people that we help get suspended because of GETIDA. They've gotten suspended for other reasons and tried to blame it on GETIDA. But when you really dive deep, and I've been on
Yeah.
with Brandon Young talking about this with his group, even, we've got asked this a
Yeah.
lot. And when you really dig deep into it, uh, people sometimes do things that are incorrect and they may have just signed up with GETIDA and then they blame it on us. But realistically, it's them violating a different policy. We
Mm-hmm.
have check and measurements in place. Amazon makes us go through checks and measurements. For instance, when we're submitting a claim, there is no automation of submitting a claim. So the only thing we can automate is looking for the claim, but then it has to go to one of our actual representatives of GETIDA that files the claim. They have to look at it. They have to verify it. They have to make sure that it hasn't been submitted. So if even the customer, or being the seller, submitted that claim, then we can't submit that claim. There is no double submitting. Same with
Mm-hmm.
if you happen to
Mm-hmm.
be using a different refund company and you want to add GETIDA or vice versa. We
Mm-hmm.
always look at what claims are they filing. Have they filed it already? Then we won't file it. Or if we filed it, them as a claim
Mm-hmm.
company are not allowed to file it either. So there's actually,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to those claim types, there is like numbers associated from Amazon with those different issues. And if there's a double claim there, then somebody's going to get in trouble. We don't do that. That's why there's check and balances in place, like us having people look at that before they submit it by hand, or technically
Yeah.
clicking the submit button is not
Yeah.
automated. Does that help, Gary? Or
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, excellent.
I want to bring up one
What
more that
other?
gets asked a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. Hmm.
So a lot of times, let's say you got $100 refund. There's four products valued at $25. The warehouse goes missing, and we get you back your $100. Okay. And right now, the current fee for Amazon or for GETIDA is 25%. So we take our $25, we get you back your $100, we take $25. And let's say a month down the road, all of a sudden they find those four items. They put them back in your stock. They go back in your seller central and they take that $100 out, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. They just took the $100. GETIDA, took $25 from that. What's happening?
Mm,
So we actually audit
mm,
ourselves. I think it's down to 48 hours or less. Every 48 hours or less, we are actually auditing ourselves. And if that happens, we will issue a $25 credit to you. So if you're ever
mm,
wondering, like, well, what happens if they, take my money back, or they found my four products and took my money back, we automatically will go in and audit ourselves and give you that $25 back as a credit into your account to go ahead and use. So that does get asked a lot. I want to make sure that people are clear on that. That is something we've been
mm,
doing for a long time. The only difference that changed is we used to audit ourselves once a quarter, then it went down to once a month, then it went to once a week.
mm,
Now we're literally auditing ourselves every 48 hours or less to make sure that
mm.
we're compliant and we're helping you have the most money in your account,
Yeah,
fast as possible. Go ahead, Gary. You had another
excellent.
question.
No, no. My question was, what other questions should sellers be asking? But that's a really critical one. So that's
Yeah.
helpful. Is there anything else that we should cover, or any other questions that sellers should be asking to better understand all the policy changes?
Yeah. So if you're already using GETIDA, you are already covered. We got you covered. We're already going to take care of this. When the change goes into effect in October, we'll be adjusting to whatever Amazon wants us to. So we're not filing a claim on something you're going to get automated automatically. So yeah, if you're a current GETIDA customer, you are covered on this. If you are not, you are going to miss out. You got to definitely get on GETIDA or any other refund company out there and take advantage of this 18-month shrinkage window down to 2 to 4 months, like immediately, because there's a lot of money there. And, even if
Yeah.
you're a small seller, if you've been small seller for even a year or even a year and a half, you're going to lose some money. And that's money that's
Oh,
critical to you. Like I said, I sold for 20 years. So I always was very careful on what am I spending on my PPC? What am I spending on my landed costs? Where can I save a little extra money here to get that margins up?
mhm.
And it can make a big difference. So definitely, GETIDA customers, you're covered. If you're not a GETIDA customer, I advise you to get on GETIDA.com/7FSS. That 7FSS, GETIDA.com/7FSS. Get that $400 as a gift from myself and Gary to you, and let us get that 18 months back. Go look 18 months back and see if there's any issues and get your money back.
All right, that's perfect. And the key takeaway is the clock is ticking. October 23rd. Make sure you get your money back. You get the full 18 months look back period, and you can do it yourself. But I think it also makes sense to delegate this out to a professional like GETIDA. They can maximize it. 90% recovery rate. They're literally they're explaining how to do this, how you can do this, via their 4 hour training, right? But I mean, if you're going to have a VA do it, maybe it makes sense to have a
Mhm.
professional do it first. It's like your taxes, right? You can try to do it yourself, but I think it makes more sense to have a professional do it to make sure you get, like, all of your, advantages, right? So
Yeah, Gary, you
definitely
brought
check
you
that
brought up
out.
a good point. So we are customizable. So if you do have a team or a VA service doing some of your refunds for you, just sign up with GETIDA, contact our support, and let us know what your VA or your team is doing, and we will not do those. So you keep 100% of the refunds that team gets back or your VA gets back, and we'll just find
Right,
everything else. So that is another question that comes
right.
up. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, one of that was another question that came up as well, right? To cover leakage, right? In case there's
Yep.
some leakage, like maybe you miss something or your VA miss something, GETIDA can just come in. They can clean everything up, right? They can catch everything that was missed. Is my
Yep.
understanding correct, Rob?
You're
So
100%
so
correct.
there's
Yeah.
yeah. So even if you're doing this right now, we're not doubting you, but why not just get a second pair of eyes on this, right? And
Doesn't
they'll get
cost you
you your
anything.
$400 for free. I mean, so
Yep.
I think, just to be totally transparent, GETIDA is a sponsor of Seven Figure Seller Summit. We've been working together since 2020, right? We've been working together for 4 years. I see GETIDA really doing a lot to help the sellers in the community at all of the major events all over the world. So I think their mission is in line with our mission to do everything we can to help sellers succeed. That's why I wanted to bring Rob on to give you guys the latest policy update. So even if you want to do it yourself, that's totally fine. Or if you want to get them to do it. But the important thing, guys, take away, make sure you do this right now before October 23rd to get all your money back. All right. Rob,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for coming on today. This was super valuable, super timely. I hope this was helpful to everybody. I learned a lot. And we will see you guys at the next session. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Gary.